Welcome to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. I'm your host, Sadia, and this is my mother, Ema. Hey, Ema.
Hi, sweetheart. So let the sun shine in. Faces in a grin. Smilers never lose, and frowners never win. So let the sun shine in. Faces in a grin. Give a great big smile and let the sun shine in.
I always thought that song was "So Let the Sun Shine In, Face It with the Grin. Smilers never lose and losers never win."
It was from the McGuire sisters, but I changed the words. It's actually, I years later, I koshered it and made it into a Jewish song for a Jewish group that I was doing music with.
Oh,
I
interesting.
changed it to let the Shekhinah in. You have a great big spot. Oh, it's again. So let the sun shine. So let the Shekhinah in. Faces in a grin. Smilers never lose and frowners never win. So let the Shekhinah in. Faces in a grin.
Sunshine has two syllables. Shechina has three.
Yeah,
It's like
I
you're
know.
trying
You
to
have to.
trying to force it.
Yeah, you got. Yeah, well, it's one's English, one's Hebrew. So
Well,
it's you're trying to force a Hebrew word into English syllables.
well, it's kind of funny because I remember going to camp and having these songs, and these songs that had to be written within like a night, that you had to develop some kind of song for a color war or something like that. And the songs always felt like they had either too many words on one line, or they had like the syllables weren't fitting in, because the songs had to be to the tune of some other song that we were familiar with in order for everyone to get to singing. And then they would go ahead and sing it, and it just wouldn't make it. Just sounded really bad. It was just really, really bad. I remember that.
I remember Color Wars. Yes, I remember the Camp Color Wars.
Yeah, what did you do?
Well, of course, I got a late start in life. I became a Balas Tshuva when I was like 22, 23. So I remember my first color war experience was, of course, my first job at a camp. And I didn't really do anything. Because I was one of the judges. I was like one of the counselors, one of the judges. So and little things, the kids would ask us to help us with their songs, help write the play, help, we would help with the music a little bit, things like that. But I remember the kids went crazy of color war, and the breakouts, the creative color war breakouts. We used to hear all sorts of stories about really hysterical color war breakouts. Like there was a famous one from Gan Israel, I think in the 1950s or 60s, where they pretended to have a terrorist attack.
Jesus.
And they had, of course, fake rifles and everything, and guys disguising themselves with beards and all sorts of, I don't know, all sorts of like, military stuff. And they came on and announced that, they were taking the kids as hostage and everything. And some of the kids we heard took it for real, and they started crying and hiding under the beds and all sorts of things like that. One counselor faked got some actual blanks and some, like, one of those pellets that actors use when they get shot, and you put the pellet in your pocket, something, you press against it and this red liquid squirts out. And so one counselor actually faked being shot.
Oh my God, that's like super intense. Jeez. The color war breakout that I had that sticks out to me was they said that we went to an ice skating rink or a skating rink, and then we were told at the end of the skating rink that the manager was saying that somebody sprayed the fire extinguisher in one of the offices, and that it's going to be a real problem if the person better confess, because if he doesn't confess, that they will no longer go on trips. And our camp would no longer go on trips. And then, like, they counted to 5 or something like that, and then they all screamed "color war," and then we all got like, "Oh my God, color war! No way! We all lost all the trips." Not a terrorist attack where people like fake died with blood spurting everywhere and gunshots. Oh my, jeez Louise! Wow. Did you ever go to camp when you were younger?
I never went to sleepover camp as a child. My parents, I went to couple of the JCC camps, and then my parents sent me to our local elementary school, had this really nice summer program. They had a camp, and we went swimming every day, and we went swimming at an indoor pool at Forest Park High School, and we walked. It was like about a 1 mile hike, and we hiked from what was Liberty School 64 all the way to Forest Park High School. And they sent out a notice to the parents saying, and by the way, swimming, since it's indoors, will be rain or shine. And if it's raining, just send your kids with raincoats and rain hats. And, we were raised, of course, the generation that raised us was the World War II generation. And they were a tough bunch. And today it would be like, oh, it's raining, the kids can't go swimming or something, or we're afraid of lightning or thunder, whatever. No, they didn't care. Lightning, thunder. Well, we never had a case of lightning and thunder, thank God, but we did. It was a couple of times where it was raining and we walked there anyway and had swimming indoors anyway. And I really enjoyed that particular program. That was a really good program. Then by the time I was 12 years old was when my mother felt that camp was, the day that we were too old for day camp at that point. And we moved to the county and we joined the local swimming pool, which was just a block down. And so my parents felt, hey, they got a swimming pool a block down, plus with tennis courts, and the kids can really entertain themselves. And I and my older sister opened up a little, morning kiddie camp, like a local, backyard camp. And was very popular in our neighborhood. We didn't charge a lot of money, and the fans could get rid of their brats for a few hours. It was very little money. And then in the afternoon, we would pretty much entertain ourselves, like go swimming or something, or go hiking around the new area in Baltimore County where we lived. There was some very nice wooded areas there. But also another camp I went to, though, I remember that maybe this camp really did have an influence on me, because I became from later on, was when I was going into first grade. I was from kindergarten to first grade. I was a very active child. As a matter of fact, I told somebody I would probably in this day and age be diagnosed as ADD or ADHD. And I told this person that in my day, ADHD, for ADHD children, they had a very special therapy. It was called the belt therapy. You acted too odd, you didn't behave, you got the belt. That was their therapy in those days. So my mother really needed to get me out of the house. I was driving her crazy. Only one camp had a program for as young as kindergarten in those days. All the other camps would not start until after first grade. So the only camp that had I guess you would say, preschool program was Beis Yaakov camp.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and my mother sent me there. And the best part of the camp I remember was the morning davening. I loved the morning davening. They had this girl with a beautiful voice, and she would get in front of the microphone and she would sing the morning davening, and the campers would sing all the morning davening along with her. I remember the trips we took. We went swimming at Carlin's. Carlin's had a pool. Of course, where Carlin's used to be is now an industrial park. But people my age bracket would remember Carlin's, that there was a pool there, and there was a drive-in movie theater. I remember going swimming there. I just remember they had pony rides. You got somebody that would come a couple times a week with pony ride. Not we wouldn't ride the ponies, but would sit on the pony and he would walk around with us, or sit in a wagon, and the horse would pull this wagon. We would have like a hay ride. I also remember very clearly, by the way, they did the play about Kamsa and Bar Kamsa, since it was around the time of Tisha B'Av.
Uh-huh.
And so I guess the counselor didn't know what else to do with us at that time. So she said, oh, let's go down to the theater and see them rehearse the play. Great. So we went down, we would watch them rehearse the play. And then many years later, when I was at a Gemara shir learning about the story of Kamsa and Bar Kamsa, I knew all the details.
That's really
because
cool.
I remember watching the play as a kid.
Wait, so you went to a Gemara Shir? When and where was that?
That was when I first became from, was not exactly Gemara Shir per se, but it was on, I was spending Tisha B'Av in Silver Spring by a friend, and they heard that some men were having a shiur that was open to women. Of course, we sat behind a mechitza, but that it was open, to the public. So we went, and they were studying different things about Tisha B'Av and different, parts of Masechtas Gittin that pertain to, Tisha B'Av, and they also went over the story of Kamsa Bar Kamsa. And when I heard it, I just become from. I said, "Oh yeah, I remember that now."
I remember Tisha B'Av for camp. For some reason, every camp I went to, Tisha B'Av day, people were fasting, and the whole point was they would have a whole massive baseball game. Count. I never understood that. Like when I was a kid, I couldn't fast very well. I was just so out of it. And like I'd have everyone else would go ahead and we'd have baseball games and playing sports all day on Tisha B'Av. Like, you guys are crazy. Like, what are you doing? Just drove me up the wall. Like, I think one time it was so bad. I was such a bad faster. I was like lying in my bed and I was needing to get up for Marav, for when we'd actually start, davening and everything like that, so we can finish the fast. And I just couldn't get out of bed. I was just so done. And the counselors saw how banged up I was, so they offered me like a cookie or something like that. And I had something to like nourish me before I can get up and I could move. It was just like the worst. But yeah, camp was interesting because it's like certain camps, each camp's had their own criteria, so to speak. And I definitely enjoyed the trips that I would go on. But I realized there was a pattern. That each sleepover camp, you'd have the bowling trip, you'd have the skating trip, you'd have the ice skating trip, you'd have the camping trip, because you go to camp, but what you really do is you'd go have like the end of the year trip. You'd go to some place where you'd get a tent and you'd have bonfires and whatnot. I remember one time I was in a camp in Michigan, and we went to Canada, and that was really cool. We went whitewater rafting in Canada.
Oh boy.
What was
that like? Whitewater rafting, what was that like?
Oh, it was fun.
Whitewater rafting.
It was fun. I remember one of the kids, we there was gonna be a rough spot where there was a possibility of injury and getting tipped over. So like I was totally game for it. But there's this one guy that was like, he decided that he didn't want to. He opted out of the trip of that one part of the whitewater rafting. I forgot who, but one of them, somebody did that, and it was just interesting. I think going to camp, whether you like camp or not, it's a very good experience to have, because you get to meet new people and socialize, and just get out of the day-to-day function of like you stayed at home and didn't do anything.
So true. So very true. I felt that way a number of times about camp as a kid, that there were good days, there were bad days, but then I realized that, like you said, what would I do at home? I did go to a sleepover camp finally when I was 17.
Oh wow.
It was Maryland. It was called Maryland Recreational Center for the Arts. It was in Deep Creek Lake, Maryland. And it was an amazing experience. I played violin and I also sang. And we got to really, expand our horizons artistically. Every night, campers were free to get together in groups and put on any performance they wanted.
Oh,
wow. There was a girl named Gidget who was a dancer. And there was a boy who played keyboard, and I sang. And we had an idea that, would you believe, the most popular camp song at the Maryland Center for the Arts was Gershwin's Summertime. Everybody loved to sing Gershwin's Summertime. Summertime and the living is easy. Fish are jumping and the cotton is high. So our idea was that Gidget had this real flowing, like multicolored costume. And we had some guy who was in charge of lights who used different colored gels. And then we had this guy at the keyboard and me singing. So as I was singing Gershwin's Summertime, she was doing an interpretive dance. And of course, the guy was playing the piano. And then the other guy was changing colors, was changing the colors on her, on the stage colors, putting in different gels as she was doing different movements.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What's funny is
the counselors also like put together funny plays, and funny skits and stuff like that. The counselors also performed, singing or playing instruments. We also had some very interesting artists that were there. We had a concert violinist who was from Czechoslovakia, who was working with us. I remember the orchestra director very well. He was named Chester Petranek.
Petranek
was his name. Yes, a lot of the kids in the camp were from Montgomery County. That's where he taught, and they adored him. He was an amazing director.
What's fun when you mentioned the song "Summertime," and it kind of reminded me of this other song by Sublime, and it goes a little differently. It goes "Summertime and the living's easy." Ron is on the microphone. Hold on a second. Trying to get the right lyrics. Is
it the same thing as Gershwin's lyrics or no different? Well, actually, I think Gershwin's brother Ira was the one that used to do the lyrics to his songs. He did the music and Ira did the lyrics.
Yeah, it was just different. It's not the same lyrics. It's just "Summertime" and the living's easy part. I thought reminded me. That's all. But you said you had a story about a building story that you want to talk about.
Oh God, I don't. Okay, but this has been such good conversation about camp. I don't know if I want to bring the building story.
I guess we could skip it. We could tease it for next time. I mean, but camp, especially because it's June time and everyone's getting ready for camp. Mm-hmm. I think most Jewish summer camps are pretty decent. I remember I went to this one camp. It was a one backyard camp, and the trip we went to the airport for a trip, and I thought that was really funny, and that's really cute. Looking back, like that's a really fun story. Another little more. I don't think I've ever told you this. I was in camp in TI, and we were going to. What I liked about camp in TI was we had woodworking during the summer, and that you'd have woodworking stuff that you'd either make a wooden ship was one of them, a chessboard was another, a hockey board. It was. I call it a hockey board.
They also made a. I remember they made Stenders. I liked that program. I really did. Davening and learning in the morning, and the afternoon, the woodworking. Did you guys go swimming?
Yes, we would go swimming, and we'd go swimming to Northwest High School. And the weirdest thing was that was my first exposure to pornographic material, because somebody left a nudie magazine in an area where like you couldn't really get to, like, and just left it there. And all of us kids were looking and staring at it like, what is going on? And then of course one of the counselors freaked out, like was able to get a hold of it and ripped it up and threw it away in the trash. I was just like totally like shocked, like what was going on? What is that?
Yeah. Some character.
Well, no, it was probably by accident with someone else just probably like left their magazines there.
Some kids.
TI had some good programs. I really enjoyed it. Looking back, actually, like I as a kid, I wasn't a fan of camp. I wanted to sit around and do nothing. But looking back, like it was good. Like I had a good time. I met new people. It was a lot of fun. The fun that I had, like one of the places that I went to camp was a paintball was a paintball I want to say studio, but that's not the right word. Arena, paintball arena. It was a hotel with a paintball arena, and we
My
used to go
gosh.
paintball shooting every so often. And there was a skate park nearby too as well, and that's how I started getting to skateboarding and learned how to do an ollie and to skateboard a little bit. That was a lot of fun.
What's an ollie?
It's when you can jump with your skateboard.
That's for the more coordinated. No, not I.
Yeah.
I don't think I could have ever done that.
Well, if you give yourself enough time, you'll figure it out.
See, the trick about camp, I think, like I also was a counselor and a head counselor, and one of the things that people told me, you just have to remind me, was, hey, it's not school. Don't stop being so strict with these kids. Like on one hand, you do need a certain level of discipline just to keep the kids safe. I mean, they can't, they have to be somewhat controlled, because if not, you can have some really serious injuries. But on the other hand, it's not school, so you don't want to be as strict as in school. So it's like it's a hard, like I'm gonna say, it's like a balancing act. It's a hard balancing act to maintain.
I never understood. We had camp inspection where we had to keep everything nice and neat. And the head counselor came in like a drill instructor. And I had this whole thing of like, I don't know what got into my head, but I decided that I was not going to use the laundry that was going to be there. And I got clothes. I had clothes for 2 months worth of clothes that I brought.
Mm-hmm. And I don't blame you, because camps are notorious for losing clothes.
But looking back, like, it doesn't matter. It's a bunch of t-shirts, whatever. I lose it, who cares? Life goes on. But like, I was so obsessed with not losing anything that I had them all stacked up, and I didn't have them stacked the right way. They didn't look good. And because I didn't know how to properly like put away and fold my laundry, the head counselor got all upset and threw all my stuff on the floor, and I had to do it all over again. Luckily, my counselor helped me through it. Looking back, like, that's so stupid and silly. Like, what are you, a drill instructor? This is camp. You're supposed to be enjoying it. You're like, some of these head counselors would get off by having a whole power struggle. It was weird. It was really weird.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. These when during what was it? They were singing. They had a performance at the end of the year where they were talking about the last will and testament, but they wanted to leave the counselors, and the three counselors were, there was Esty, there was me, and there was Mushka, a counselor named Mushka. So they said, for Mushka was known for her Torah learning. She was a real scholar. So they sang, for Mushka, make him a scholar. For Esty, make him rich as a king. For Zalka, she wouldn't holler if he weren't a sergeant or anything. I was also had that reputation of being the drill sergeant of the camp.
So you had someone named Mushka?
There was one of the counselors. Yeah, one of the head counselors with me was a girl named Mushka.
Oh, this was
very
back
smart.
In the day. Okay, I see what's going on.
In the 70s. I'll tell you. So here's what happened. There's one thing though that happened when we were going miniature golfing, and we went to the miniature golf place. And as we were about to go in, all the kids are coming up to me and crying, "We don't want to go. We don't want to do this. We don't want to go." And I've got a whole bunch of kids standing in front of me, crying, screaming, yelling, "We don't want to do it." And finally, I just yelled at them, "Everybody could stop!" And then I said to them, "Everybody, line up!" And they lined. I said, "Against the wall." They lined up against the wall. I said, "Now," I said, "we're going to go in there. We are going to play miniature golf. And I want you all to smile, because we're going to have a good time.
We're having a good time."
Well, I forced them to go in there. And as they were playing, it was like, "Oh boy, I got this, I got that." And when they finished, they told me they did have a good time. But getting them in there like in an orderly fashion was, oh my gosh.
Why? I'm out of curiosity. Like, why would you think they started complaining? Was because one person complained and then it kind of trickled down?
Touches. I don't know. I don't know what it is about kids. When you were a kid, you know how when you were a kid, you probably fetched about everything.
Yeah.
You probably fetch about everything as an adult too.
Now I do it silently and inside. Those are my indoor voices. Yeah. Okay. That is our time. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. And thank you, Ima, for this wonderful conversation.
You're welcome, my sweetheart. You have a good Shabbos. Love you.
I love you too.
So let the sun shine in, faces in a grin. Smilers never lose and frowners never win.
Thank you for listening to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. Please like and share and find us on Facebook at Jewish Boy Calls His Mother Podcast. We are looking forward to hearing from you.